Whoa.
Hey everyone, this is Loving Dead Gal and welcome back to another Sims 4 video. Today we're actually going to be doing a different type of video. We are in one of my Let's Play households, but we are not going to be doing a Let's Play. This video is actually going to be about how I create my family photo walls like the one you see here, which is in my Whimsy household. If you've watched my Whimsy Stories Legacy Challenge Let's Play, you will be familiar with this. If not, and you're new to the channel, welcome. So essentially, to create these photo walls, there's a couple of different options. I'm sure that you all are familiar with taking your photos in-game and posting, popping them on the wall, whether it's with a phone, your Sim's cell phone, or with a camera that they have in their inventory. And you can pop the photo on the wall and you can purchase a frame. And you have a couple of options. The thing with that is you only really get the photographs that you have from the selfie. So with the Moschino pack, there's actually the option to take more posed photos using the tripod camera. And a lot of people are able to get some really cool photos in their game with that. And if you want some more photo frame options, there's some amazing mod creators like Ravasheen who have actually made some CC that functions in the same way that those frames from the Moschino pack function. But in this case, they're styled a little bit different and a little bit nicer, so you have some more decor options. Now, for me, when I do my photographs, I like to take lots of poses freely, where I download poses, I pose my Sims, and I'm taking my own screenshots so that, number one, the reshade is captured, and number two, I don't have to fiddle with the tripod and get another Sim to take photos. There's nothing wrong with that method. I think that method looks great and it comes out great, but my personal preference and my favorite thing to do is when I can just take my own photos that I am using for thumbnails or for screenshots that I'm posting to different social media outlets to kind of show off my Sims. And then when I see those in my folder and I'm like, hey, that would make a nice photo for the wall in my family's house, I just kind of make a piece of CC with it and I pop it in my game. So what I'm going to show you today is how we go about making those customized photos. Now, I will link you to a few other mods that I think are really great as far as photo customization, but the purpose of today's video is really to show you how I can kind of create these custom photographs. So the first thing that we are going to want to do is we are going to want to get a photograph that we can use to make the piece of CC. I'm going to hop online and look for a pose. Okay, so the number one place that I go to online to find my poses is TS4 Poses on Tumblr. I will put a link to this in the description box as well. But essentially, this website is several different Simmers who kind of curate tags and reblogs of all of the poses that they can find. So really, this is a great resource to go to. It links out to different blogs and different Patreons that have amazing, amazing poses. So when you go to their homepage, there is a master list. So I usually go to the master list and there are a bunch of tags. There are a bunch of different ways to use the tags. I think we're going to stick with something simple right now, and we're going to go with just like a couple pose that I'm going to use for the two, the mother and father in this save file. So you can search for like couple, they have everything pretty much, like they have things with traits, so they have your cast poses, they also have objects, they have family poses, gestures, tons and tons of things. So there's sort of a master tag and then the specific tag underneath. We're gonna go with one of these love poses. Let's see, maybe we can just do romantic and let's see what we can find. Okay, so this one here is pretty cute, my soulmate. So I'm gonna go ahead and download this one. So as you can see, usually this will link you out to the creator's Patreon page. and I'm just going to go ahead and download that. So I'm going to pop this in my game, and then we will pose the Sims. So I am back in my game. I am actually going to go ahead and do a quick posed photo of Jack and Riley, the mother and father, and just kind of do a cute little couple photo with them that we can then turn into a piece of CC. So I am going to shift click teleport here for Riley. So she has teleported. A lot of times you can use the teleport any sim mod where you actually get a statue and you go grab that in build mode. But in this case, I am just using the teleport cheat and MC Command Center because I don't need them to be posed on like a couch or a bed or anything. So I'm just gonna have her walk forward just a little bit. And there we go. So I've got a little bit of background in my photo, nice scenery. I know there's like a little construction pit down here, but that's fine. We can enjoy this blue sky over here. So she is in position. So the next thing that I am going to do is using MC Command Center. I'm going to do sim commands, teleport commands, and I'm going to teleport her husband Jack over to her, and they're going to create this kind of creepy like monster shape of the two of them combined into one, but that is okay. So I am now going to tell them to pose by pack. Now, one thing that really helps when you're posing Sims is to turn your autonomy off and also make sure you have UI cheats installed so that you can pay attention to their needs and you make sure you don't starve them to get death, or their hygiene doesn't go all the way down, or they don't accidentally pee themselves. So I am going to find the pose pack here. I do not have a lot of poses in my game at once because I like to make it easier on myself to find the pose pack. What I do when I collect poses is I put them on a separate hard drive and I keep sort of a library of them, and then I bring them into my game when I need them for posing. It's just something I like to do because I've had it where I have a lot of poses in my game before and then I spend hours trying to find the right pose. So in this case, I found the pose I needed pretty easily. So she is going to be small 1, 2, and 3. And then for Jack, he is going to be tall 1, tall 2, and tall 3. And I have autonomy off, I have them queued up, so I just have to hit the play button and they will kind of get into position for me and pose. Now, you will run into some issues when you're posing the Sims, like clipping with CC, like her hand is clipping a little with his shirt, his hand is clipping on hers, her hair is kind of clipping, so sometimes you have to play with different outfits and different poses to kind of get them right. A lot of times what I'll do sometimes if there's some weird clipping, I can go into Photoshop and edit a few things, but in this case I am going to change their outfits using MC Command Center, and let me put her in, let's go ahead and put her in this. Yeah, we'll pop her in that dress. Her hand is clipping a little bit. It's a little bit weird, but that's okay. We'll kind of take it from an angle and kind of pretend like it's sort of tucked into his shirt. Next thing that I will want to do is kind of get the camera angle that I would like to use for the photograph. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this one here. I'm not super happy with that because of the clipping, so I'm gonna go ahead and have them take the other pose. Okay, so this is cute. Her hand's still clipping a little bit. This is probably actually because I have the height slider mod and he's a little bit taller than her. But that's still pretty cute. We can make that work. You'll have that. I mean, they are pixel people, right? So I just then hit print screen and take a couple of photos of that with the reshader, and let's kind of move them into the third pose. Okay, that one has a lot less clipping, so we'll probably use that. Her hair is clipping into her face a little bit, but I'm gonna just correct that a little bit with Photoshop. Okay, so now that I've gotten a couple of screenshots, I am going to exit the game and we are going to pop into Photoshop. I have gone into my documents folder and then Electronic Arts Sims 4 screenshots, where you gather all your screenshots, and I have scrolled to the bottom to find the most recent screenshots, and I think the one that I want to use is this one. I know it's a little weird because he's like winking, but I think I like that one the best as far as the clipping. So we're just going to correct this issue right here, and then I think everything else looks pretty good. So I am actually going to open this with Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, you can do photo editing and this process with any other photo editing software that you have, but Photoshop is my go-to. So in this instance, I am going to probably crop this photo a little bit. I'm actually going to want to do a taller photo with it instead of a horizontal photo. So I'm just going to crop it. Okay, so I've now cropped my photo. The next thing that I'm gonna do is just touch this up a little bit. I don't mind this little bit of hair, it just kind of looks like it's a strand of hair in her face, but this is bothering me right here. So I'm actually gonna just use the clone stamp to get rid of that. There's lots of different ways you could correct this. You can use the spot healing brush. I tend to go with the good old clone stamp. Okay, so that's been taken care of. So then really from here, you can just edit your photo however you see fit. Typically for me, I tend to add a lot of contrast to my photos. I'll brighten them up a little bit, and then sometimes I'll adjust the colors. Sometimes adding contrast and brightening can end up like yellowing your Sims a little bit more, or like making them look a little bit too orange, so you can go fiddle with the colors. But this is just what I tend to do. I also tend to bring the vibrance up significantly, and then I usually just do a little bit of sharpening, not a whole lot, just a teensy bit of my Sims, just enough to make them look a little more detailed. You don't want to go too sharp because then it's going to look a little bit like your Sims. They get like kind of pixelated looking if you do too much of a sharpen. So that's just kind of a basic edit. I'd probably do a lot more normally, but we're just going to kind of do this as like a test piece of CC. Sometimes I might like blur the background a little bit just so that they stand out a little bit more. But in this case, we're just going to keep it nice and simple. I'm actually going to crop just a teensy bit more. And another thing I'll do occasionally is I will tweak the levels. Just it helps kind of darken some of the blacks and add a little bit more contrast to your photograph. Okay, with that said, I am going to save this, and I always want to save it in the highest quality possible. And usually I end up saving this to an external hard drive. So right now I have a family photos folder that I am going to pop this in. So the next step is we have to actually make the CC. So, as I said, I have a folder that I keep on an external hard drive that I tend to work off of when I'm doing my CC. So I have my CC and family photos. You can kind of organize it however you want, but I have a folder right now specifically for Whimsy. So I have this first family photo here, which is the one that we have edited. So again, that was a really quick edit. You can spend as much time as you need to kind of stylize them how you like. So I've got my original photograph in here, so that's the photo that we want to hang on the wall. So my next step is going to be to pop into Sims 4 Studio. Okay, so I've opened up Sims 4 Studio. I will put a link of where you can go to download that if you do not have Sims 4 Studio and you're not familiar with it. But essentially, we are going to be creating a recolor of an object that is in the game. So I am going to go to this button here that says Object, and we're going to do Standalone Recolor. So this can show you everything. If you know of a specific frame that you would like to use and you know what pack it's associated with, you can filter it by pack. You can also use the search if you know what the item is called. Now in our case, we are going to kind of just do a browse, which is what I tend to do, and I kind of just scroll through and look. Now I could do a search for a frame, but that doesn't always work out because only some items show up as frames. It just kind of depends on what the title is, but let's see what we can find. Okay, so I am actually going to use this frame from Snowy Escape. So I'm going to click the next button and I am going to save my package file. Now you can save the package file directly into your mods folder where you would like it. I actually tend to keep everything in my sort of working file folder, and then I will move it over when it is ready to go in the game, like when I am done with editing the package, but you can do this however you would like. So I am going to call this Whimsy Photo 1, and it does not matter how you want to title it, it's really up to you. I wouldn't recommend adding a lot of like crazy type treatments or anything though, or any crazy characters, because that will tend to slow down like how it reads the file. So you can see now I've got my package file that has populated in this folder. So when I look in here, this is the package file that I am currently editing. So it's got a catalog with the name, the description, and the price, and then it's got all of these different swatches. So what I would like to click on is the texture. So I am actually going to choose the swatch that I would like. And what I'm actually choosing is the frame that I want, because I'm going to be replacing the photograph that's in the frame. So I just want to make sure I get the frame that I want. So I think I might go with this like more like cherry wood color, like this sort of darker wood, and try that one out. So what I'm going to go ahead and do first is I'm actually going to remove all of these swatches that I do not want. That way I don't even have to worry about sifting through them when I pop this in my game. Okay, so we want to keep this red one. So, okay, this red one is going to be the swatch that I use. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click export. And so this is going to actually pull the photograph image of the like the texture that is being used and wrapped around the object mesh. So I am going to call this, you can really call it anything you want. I'm just going to call it base frame. And now I actually have a JPEG image, and you can see it's actually the flattened version of the sort of photography and pixels that are used in the object itself. So the next thing that I need to actually do is pop this frame into Photoshop. So I'm gonna bump that into Photoshop. And we can see here sort of everything that makes up this object. We can see this is kind of like the outer edges of the frame as well as the back of the frame. And this is the photograph. So I am going to go ahead and pop my photo in here. So I'm going to drag in my Whimsy photo. And yes, it's going to look a little bit pixelated because we're bringing it into something that's like a little bit of a lower resolution. Don't worry though, it'll be okay in the game. And I'm just going to drop this in kind of about that same height. And I'm actually going to bring that a layer under it. Okay, so I've popped my family photo in the background, and then I have the foreground here is the texture that's being used in the game. So what I'm gonna do is take this rectangular marquee tool, and I'm actually going to use it and just kind of make sure I get it lined up with the foreground that I want to delete. You only want to get rid of the part that you're not using. I know this black part looks like the frame, but I believe it's actually the inner frame, and the outer frame is right here, because remember I picked the darker wood. So I am going to get rid of that. And then it's instantly going to show me what I had in the background. Now there's a little bit of space here, so I just need to resize this photo a little bit more just so that it fits in kind of nicely. And we'll go ahead and pop it in just like that. So I know it looks really weird right now and it's kind of strange and difficult to see, but that's okay. It's going to make sense when we bring it into Sims 4 Studio. So the next thing that I am going to do is save this out as a PNG file. I'm going to go ahead and export that into the same folder, and I'm going to just call it Whimsy Frame 1. And again, you can call it whatever you would like that makes sense for you. So now I am here, and what I'm actually going to end up doing is replace this existing texture. So I'm going to click import, and I'm going to click Whimsy Frame 1, And now you can see it has replaced it with my photograph that I am using in the game. You can try messing around with like higher resolution images if some of the pixelation bothers you. You can try kind of like exporting it that way. I just tend to do kind of the same settings that were in the original texture that I exported out. So now this is good to go. The next thing that I want to do is catalog my items so that I can find it again, because if it's labeled the same thing, I'm gonna struggle to find this when I'm trying to go through and look for it in build and buy mode. So I am just going to title this something that's going to be easy for me to search. So for me, I tend to go by like the save file name or the household name. I'm going to call this Whimsy Photo 1. And then I might do Whimsy, Jack, and Riley. Really, whatever is easiest for you as far as searching for stuff. And then you can change the price. For me, family photos, I don't think my sim should be paying for them, so I usually put it at $0. If you want to have them like pay for the frame, you can make it something cheap. It's really up to you. Now, if you use an item that is from a pack that tends to need to be unlocked with a career or something, there will be an option, a button that populates that says make buyable. So remember to click that if you're using one of those types of frames. So the next thing I'm going to do is click save, and then my package file has been saved. I am good to go. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to hop back into the game, find our photo, and pop it on the wall. Okay guys, so we are back in my game. I am in build mode, and I just did a search for the word whimsy because I know that's what I had titled my package file, or what I had titled it in the catalog. And you can see I have a bunch that I've already made for this family, but the new one that we did came up. You can see it's priced at $0. It's got my description and the whimsy photo in it. So I am going to grab it and I can pop that up on the wall. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller just because it is like a little bit pixelated at the larger size. So I just kind of resize that and I popped that up on the wall. And so now I have another photograph of my Sims couple next to this one, which was from their wedding photo shoot, hanging on their wall. So it's just as simple as that. Again, you can definitely play around with settings, play around with how you want to edit your photos, but this is just a nice way to do it and customize it to where you can use kind of like the way that your reshader looks and the way that you like to have your photos edited versus kind of being stuck with some of the in-game lighting. Now, again, there are a lot of really cool mods that kind of modify some of those options. So if you're interested in seeing sort of a deep dive of those, I would be happy to do a video showcasing that. If that's something you are interested in, leave me a comment down below. If it's not, you know, and you just kind of want to see the mods yourself, I will definitely have links to all of those in the description box below. But I did want to just showcase this because I've had a couple people ask me just from watching my Let's Plays, like, how did you get those photos on your wall? And I just wanted to kind of go over it. And again, they're a little bit more pixelated looking because you're bringing in these photos at such like a smaller size. So I'm not an expert. I'm not a CC creator. I'm sure that there are tips and tricks to kind of get them to be a slightly higher resolution, get them to look a little bit nicer. But for the purposes of my game, I don't need them to be super crisp, pixel perfect. Like, they look good for me just with walking around the house with my Sims, and it makes me happy, especially little moments like this when I can put a teeny tiny little photo frame right here of the Sims just to put on their nightstand while they sleep, which is, they're just cuddling, which is adorable. So with that said, I am going to leave us off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It helps my channel out and it lets me know that you'd like to see more content like this. I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!